Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to begin our webinar. I'm going to set my timer so I'm aware of the time that we have going on today. Stopwatch, here we go. So welcome to the New York State Real Property Tax Foreclosure Auction Webinar. Third part in our weekly series. Tonight we're going to work on auction registration to get you fully prepared to participate at the auction. And we want to go over the terms of sale. Those are very important to understand. A couple of housekeeping issues for you before we get underway. We're going to change the format this week. We're not going to do the auction first. We'll actually do that at the end. We have a test auction that we're going to show you what it will look like and sound like from your side of the screen if you're bidding online from home. So we're going to get underway with that. Let me just get my screen going. A couple of housekeeping items for you. First of all, we do have the opportunity for you to ask questions. You can do that with me while I'm doing my webinar, or you can talk to Jen. Jen Gableman is our principal broker and owner of the company. She's behind the scenes tonight. She'll be answering your questions as we go through the seminar. Keep in mind that most of your questions we've already answered before in previous seminar formats, so that we will address almost every piece of information that you're looking for. But also, if you type your question into the group chat area, be aware that it is going to be visible to everyone. We plan for about an hour tonight. We'll stay a little longer if we need to answer questions, but just so that you understand, we're going to try and finish right around an hour. And when tonight's webinar concludes, we're going to follow up with our usual thank you for you, and we also have a free buyer checklist. This is a due diligence checklist of steps that we think you should follow in order to look into properties that you're interested in. And then, of course, we have a brief survey. It's only 4 or 5 questions. We'd like to see what your reaction is to the program that we've presented, and also hear any suggestions you may have for how we can make it better for the future. So, in order to get underway tonight, we're going to show you that we broke this into 2 parts. And the 2 pieces that we have tonight is for registration for the auction. We'll talk about the kind of ID that you need, talk about different numbers that are required, the different forms that you'll be signing to participate. If you're going to be registering as an LLC or as an incorporated entity, what's required of that, and we'll talk about power of attorney. The second part tonight is terms of auction, and we want to talk about these rules that the counties have created so that everyone is on a level playing field. These are as is, where is sales. You'll get the property transferred to you at closing on a quitclaim deed. And when is the property actually yours? We're going to cover that. Of course, we have that sample auction for you, and we'll let you watch that video later on. First of all, let's get you registered for the auction. Let's get you started. So if you've decided that you're going to visit our website, you can go to aarauctions.com, click on the tab for tax foreclosure auction, or you can go to nysauctions.com, where we do our tax foreclosure work, and you'll see a screen similar to what we have up here for you. Once you select the particular county and the date that you want to participate in, you'll see a couple of boxes, and you're going to click, if you're going to bid online, you want to click for online only, and that'll take you to registration information in order to participate. Right now, we anticipate doing online auctions. We may do some in person this year too, but our online system is really a wonderful way for you to get registered. We're going to use an electronic document signing program that allows you to go ahead through all the disclosures that we're talking about tonight, including the terms of auction, and being able to provide your documentation as to who you are and all of those things necessary without you ever having to actually leave the home. So we have this totally electronic for you to participate, and I think you're going to really enjoy that. Once you get fully registered by completing that electronic registration process, and then the auction is ready to go, this is our selling screen. And again, we'll show this to you later, but we just wanted to get a snapshot image of what you're going to see from home from our bidding platform. Once you log in, and you would have created already your own username and selected your own password, and then we gave you the okay to go ahead and participate, you're going to see a selling platform that looks like this. On the left side of the screen, this is what we're selling right now. In this case, it's a one-family residential home, certain size, some information there for you, and that's the item that's up for bid. Where the big red button in the middle is, click here to activate bidding. That's what you're going to click on in order to bid in the auction. On the right side, we're showing you what we call the catalog view. And this is the list of properties beginning with the one on top that says open. That's the property that's being sold right now. And then the list of properties below that, those are all the properties that are going to come to follow. So there's really never any confusion as to what's being sold. It's the largest image, the largest box, and that's the only one you can click on. We do give you an opportunity to scroll ahead and kind of see what's coming so that you're fully aware and fully ready to be engaged with the bidding process. Before we go too far though, let's get you good to go for the auction, and that requires registration, and we're going to walk you through those steps. So everyone that registers for the auctions, number one, needs to have proof of positive identification of who you are. The counties require this. Whether you're on the county level or we're doing a small city auction or even maybe a town or village, you're going to need to provide information on who you are. Generally, the number one way people do that is through a driver's license. Of course, we accept New York State, but we do accept out-of-state driver's licenses too. And if you have like say a Canadian driver's license that has an image on it that documents who you are, we can accept that. The second most acceptable is going to be a passport. Again, could be a United States passport or a foreign passport, as long as it's currently in effect, it's not mutilated to where we feel like it's been tampered with. We can see who you are through the pictures and images there. Passport works. Military or state ID, that also works. We're looking for official proof positive identification of who you are so that when we start creating the computer file for you at the auction during registration, later on when you finish being a purchaser, we're able to complete all of those documents and the property will be sold to the right person. There are a series of required forms that you will also fill out. On the left, we use the New York State agency form. On the right side is the federal lead paint disclosure form, and in the middle is the federal lead paint booklet. We'll look into these a little further in just a second. You'll also be signing the agriculture district disclosure form, and new in New York State, for anyone registering an LLC, real estate transactions now require you to form a percentage ownership form. And we're going to go through these and let you see what they look like. So first of all, New York State agency, this form discloses to you as a buyer that we are an exclusive seller agent. So we have these forms pre-checked, whether you're registering online or you're going to register with us in person at an auction. These forms are already filled in and pre-checked for you. You're simply going to either print your name where required or sign as an acknowledgement and date that form. New York State agency has a variety of formats. We are always an exclusive seller's agent. So we always represent the municipalities in these instances. The lead paint form. This is a federal form and it's required of all real estate agents to use this form and sellers to use this form with you as a buyer when you're buying a 1 to 4 family home that's built prior to 1978. The assumption is that the property may contain lead paint. So what is the seller telling us? Again, these forms are pre-filled and you're going to acknowledge them. The first thing is the seller says they have no knowledge of any lead-based paint in these homes. So they haven't done any type of testing. We've never had a municipality actually do a lead paint test officially. So there's no report to share with you. That's the second thing that's checked. The seller has no reports or records to share with the buyers. You're going to acknowledge that you received that blue booklet on the right side. That's the federal lead paint form, lead paint booklet. We give every participant at the auction that form and that booklet in person, or we give you an opportunity to download it on our website. Next, there's a 10-day waiver of right to conduct your own assessment for lead paint, meaning you're not going to have an opportunity to test for lead paint at these auctions. These auctions are all as is, where is, and this is the disclosure that all of our municipal sellers are making. Down on the bottom, you're going to sign and date this form and acknowledge that you've received the booklet. Agriculture district. Some of these properties lie in a designated agricultural district as identified on an official tax map. So some of these properties, when you boil it right down, look, sound, and may actually smell like agricultural property. That may be of a happy circumstance for you. It may present undue challenges for you. There may be dust or odors or noise there in an ag district that might prohibit you wanting to buy those properties. So we're just letting you know that some of these properties in this auction may be in an ag district. Your due diligence has discovered those. Now, some of the counties that we work with and municipalities have mapping that identifies that. It's very clear. And where we can, we've identified them in our auction catalog or in the PowerPoint show that's used at the auction. Other times, you're going to have to discover that information on your own. New this year is also a fair housing notice for anti-discrimination disclosure. We're going to employ that as required by New York State law, and we're going to share a copy of that with you. There's also a separate signature page for you to sign as they call you the consumer of real estate. So you're going to sign and acknowledge there that you were made aware of the requirement of this form. Fair housing and anti-discrimination disclosure. For anyone registering as an LLC or an incorporated entity, you're going to have to provide proof of existence. If we're doing in-person auctions, it's best to bring copies of these two documents in particular, and we're going to take a closer look as to what they are. One is the filing receipt, and the other is the IRS identification number. The filing receipt shows where the LLC was born. On the right side, this is from New York State, and this one indicates that this particular corporation, the name of the entity is Greatest Auction Opportunities LLC. This is a filing receipt in New York State. This came into existence on April 13th of 2010. We need proof positive of any LLC that is going to be a purchaser at the auction to actually show that this corporation is in existence. Every LLC has this filing receipt, whether it's New York State or any other state. Now, if your attorney has created the LLC for you, then it's most likely that your attorney received what we call the LLC kit, the incorporation kit. In that kit is a 3-ring binder that comes with this form, a bunch of other forms, and then the embossing tool. It's a handheld crimping tool that actually raises the paper when the paper is crimped with your LLC name. You'll need that tool also. So if you don't have those on your possession, you're going to want to reach out to your attorney and at least get copies of the filing receipt, but then you're going to want to figure out a way to pick up that crimping tool. Now, for some of you that incorporated on your own, you may have used LegalZoom or some other type of processing company. Then you probably have the filing receipt yourself. I started LLCs with my son through LegalZoom, and we received at some point in the mail our legal kit or our LLC kit. And in there was our filing receipt, the crimping tool, and the other documents we need. So that's important. Again, on that New York State ownership disclosure for real estate, that's new this past year, you'll need to disclose ownership. And I'm going to show you that form in just a second. You'll also need a corporate resolution authorizing the person who is registering the LLC to actually bid. So that's a very simple form, and it will require your embossing tool. Let's take a closer look here. This is that New York State ownership disclosure form. It's very simple. There's some information that'll be filled in at the top. We have this form on our website. You can download it and fill it in. The bottom box, which we've zoomed in for you there on the upper left side, shows you that this is the way this has to be filled in. It would be all the names of the people who own a piece of the LLC. If it's one of you, put your name, your street address, city, state, and zip, your tax ID number, meaning you personally, your social security number, and then the percentage ownership. One person, 100%. Down at the bottom, it has to total 100%. So if there's one individual, that's pretty easy. If there are multiple owners of the LLC, everyone needs to be listed and it must total 100%. If this form isn't filled in, provided to the county, you're not going to be able to make your purchase of real estate. Again, this is new this past year. You may not quite be familiar with it, but we're on top of it for you, and we have it available on our website. The other thing that you're going to need to do once you create your LLC is you're going to have to get a federal employment identification number. This identification number it starts with 2 digits, a dash, and then it's followed by 7 digits. That's your EIN number. It's going to be part of your federal tax returns. We also need that identification number if you are using an LLC or an incorporated entity. These things are all pretty simple, and they're pretty straightforward. This one is a little more complicated. This is the power of attorney. You don't necessarily need this for an LLC, but if you're going to use this for bidding on behalf of another person, you'll have to have a limited power of attorney. Now, you can get this form a couple of different places. You can go to Office Depot and Office Max and buy a form, fill it in, and do all that's necessary there. It does need to be notarized where the signatures are. You could also get this online. I've looked around online. You could find it there. And guess what? We actually provide a free copy on our website for download. So if you go to our website and look for the forms in the tax auction area, under registration and forms, you'll find this there and you can download it, fill it in. If you don't understand the form, we're going to recommend that you get legal counsel to help you understand exactly what is happening through the limited power of attorney form. So if you're not understanding, we're not attorneys. I'm not a licensed attorney trying to teach you law tonight. Just trying to explain the different steps and what the essence of some of these things are. Please seek legal advice if you need that. You ever feel like this guy? Trying to buy real estate, you make offers and it just seems like other people come in with different offers. In traditional real estate, you may feel like the field is stacked against you and you're on the wrong end of it. At auction, there's really a wonderful system. The terms of the auction put everyone on a level playing field. The terms of auction are the rules by which the counties or the other municipalities agree to sell you real estate, and all potential buyers agree to those terms. And it puts everyone on an equal footing so that the only difference between all buyers is what is the bid amount, how much is being offered. So it's really a fair and equitable way to buy real estate and do it through the auction method. Now, these terms are pretty detailed, and we're not going to sit and read through every item here. We're not going to do that. But what we will do is highlight some of the key important details for you and let you see what the intent is. So the counties, again, they create the rules, these terms for selling property, and many of these terms are very similar across New York State. We work with about 16 different municipalities, and we've noticed that behind the scenes, it seems like some of their legal advisors have shared some of the same types of language. They're not always 100% the same, but the essence of the terms and conditions are pretty similar. So whenever you see terms and conditions of auction, whether it's through our team or through others, you're going to want to read these carefully and take notes where you have questions. If the questions get to be of a legal nature, we're not able to answer them because, again, we're not licensed attorneys. So we can't explain the law to you, and you may actually need to go to an attorney to get an interpretation or more fuller understanding. We'll just caution you here that if you go to an attorney and you show them these terms and that attorney says, no, time out, don't do this, we're going to suggest that you get a second opinion, a second legal opinion, because this is really a great way to buy real estate. If you've been with us over the last couple of weeks when we went over Article 11 and how this process takes place, it's really a wonderful way of buying real estate through a quick claim deed, the simplest form of title transfer, where you're going to take actual title through deed, free and clear of liens, and we've explained that to you. It's a wonderful way to buy real estate. If you don't really understand the terms and you're not going to pay for advice to understand the terms, then please don't participate in the auction. The last thing we want to have is somebody who is uninformed, bidding, and then later on not happy with their purchase or not happy with the process. We've come to find over 20 years of doing this and returning now well over 40,000 properties back to the tax-paying rolls, that the educated buyer is our best customer. The educated buyer meaning the people that understand the terms, that have looked into the properties, done their proper and thorough due diligence, and when they come to the auction, they already have a good sense of what they're going to pay, what they're buying, and what they're going to do with these properties. And they end up being what we call a happy buyer. So let's dig into some of these terms and look at these things a little closer. Again, these are not all standard terms throughout the state, but they're all very similar to what we're going to go over with you. Most of the time, the terms begin with what we call internet terms. These are in addition to the standard terms that follow. The internet terms, when we are doing in-person auctions, they require you to download a bidder registration packet, have the forms notarized, mailed back to our office by a certain date and time, and then creating that website identification ID, like a login ID and a passcode, and then you're, quote, approved to bid. So we're just going to make sure that all your paperwork is in order so that you're similar to the people who are at the auction who sign the same paperwork. In addition to those terms, there are what we call the standard terms, and everyone is agreeing to these. Again, just before I leave the internet terms for a minute, right now I know we have some internet-only auctions scheduled, and we have a fully online registration process with electronic documentation. So for those auctions and where we're going to be able to use those with other auctions, you're not going to have to go anywhere. You're going to be able to fully register online with us. It's very simple, very easy, and we're happy that we put that system together for you. Under the standard terms, all of these sales are final. Once you finish paying, once you get your deed in the mail, it's your property. That's it. There's no changing your mind. And then that's the end of it. And also, if you go back to Article 11, you learn there that all of the lien holders who are wiped away from this process and former owners, they're not able to come back later on and turn the sale around. All former lien holders are forever barred from enforcing their lien. So you don't have to worry about old mortgages or any judgments of the prior owner, state taxes, any of that type of stuff. As long as they were notified according to the way Article 11 works, you're going to be able to buy the property and enjoy it. And number two, there is a buyer paid commission. We call that the buyer's premium. In this auction, we've indicated it's an 11% buyer's premium, and that's based on your bid amount. We do offer a 1% buyer premium discount for those of you who are going to use cash as a down payment or an official bank or teller check. And money orders also work. Postal money order, Amex money order, they work. But what we're seeing is people using an official bank or teller or cashier check. Now that's an official document that comes from the bank, from their account. None of the municipalities ever accept personal checks or business checks or any other type of payment like home equity check or line of credit, nothing like that. They have to be exactly the way they're describing them. We're going to look at this a little closer in a minute when we go into the terms. All of the properties in number 5 are being sold subject to any easements or rights of way or any restrictions or conditions that are of record, meaning in the deed. So when you're looking at the deeds, if you see that type of information, and you're going to be happy to see an easement or a right of way, and maybe gives you access to special uses of the property and enjoyment, you're going to like that. And again, the properties are coming to you via quit claim deed, the simplest form of title transfer. Some additional terms in number 10, the responsibility of the prospective buyer to contact local offices for any zoning, building, or planning restrictions. Last week we talked about zoning. Zoning, remember, that's, what can you do with the property? Building, code, how can you build on it? What can be built there? In what format and to what degree of safety and size, etc. And then planning restrictions, maybe regarding, could this be a commercial area? Could it be a mixed use area? The buyer is always responsible to contact the local level of town, and in some cases a village, to find out what is zoning, what is building code, and what can you do with these properties, and you're responsible to do that. Some of these properties may be actually occupied by former owners. They may still be occupied by them, or maybe tenants may be there, or in an extreme case, maybe even a squatter. You're going to take title with somebody maybe there or not. So you're going to want to look at our catalog of information where we've tried the best we can to indicate whether the property is occupied, and you just drive by anywhere at any time. Or if the property may be available for a showing schedule that might be actually being able to show to you, or if our team has been able to access the inside, maybe we'll have extra video or pictures to share with you of the interior of the property if we're precluded from actually showing interiors. So those people, if they still occupy the property once you take title, it will become your responsibility to remove them from the property. And in an extreme case, it may be an eviction. The eviction is done through the county sheriff's department. Once you take title, you can begin that petition yourself. It's a legal action. You can do it yourself, or you can do it through legal counsel, whatever is of comfort to you. If you see a property that you think is going to remain occupied once you take title, you may want to start looking at the particular county that you're looking to buy property in. Visit the sheriff's office there, and online they have a lot of information on eviction process and how that works. Down in paragraph 13, let's talk about any back taxes. That's not really the right phrase. The county and town taxes, village tax, and school tax. Back taxes are typically something that, not really a problem for you as the buyer. You can notice here that we're talking typically current year's taxes. And when we sell property around the state for different municipalities, they handle this in different ways. We have 1 or 2 municipalities that just say, nope, we're just selling property. There's no concern about any current year's taxes or anything prior to the auction date. Don't worry about it, just buy the property. Very few and far between. Most municipalities are collecting from you, the buyer, what we call a pro rata share of the current taxes. That's a piece of. So you're going to be responsible typically for either a piece of the county town bill, if it's a village property, a piece of that bill, or a piece of the school bill. We're not going to get into every scenario tonight, but just understand that that may be owing at closing. You don't owe it at the auction, but by and at closing. So how do you get that information? Well, in some cases, the municipalities actually provide us with a spreadsheet that we share with you, not only on our website, but also at the auction. So you're able to go onto the website and look at that information, and we provide it to you, and it's pretty simple. And you can look up the properties there and know what may be owing. Another way you could do that is by contacting the treasurer or finance commissioner's office of the municipality that we're selling for, typically on a county level. And that's where we taught you last time that that's where the financial information is. It's held on the county level. So you could ask them, if I buy a particular property, what do I owe? What am I going to owe at closing? And they'll give you specific information on what that may be. The other way you can go is do all the work yourself. You can call the school district, you can call the village, you can call the town and find out what those numbers are. Maybe you want to ask them and the county and kind of verify that everything matches. But nonetheless, that's something that you're going to acknowledge at some point, is that you may be responsible for a pro rata share. Also, let's understand that you're buying property right now because someone else didn't pay taxes. Going forward, number 14 down at the bottom, subsequent to the date of the auction. So going forward after the date of the auction, you will become, once you're approved to buy the property, and we'll talk about what that means. Once you're approved as the new owner and you take title, you're going to be responsible for all future taxes. Any town, county tax, village, if that's appropriate, or school tax. We've had people come up to us and say, so now these are, tax-free forever. No, that doesn't work that way. If you don't pay the taxes, we're going to find our yellow sign on it in 2 years, and we'll be selling it. Here's an important thing for you to understand also. Most of our auctions occur during the summer months, sometimes late into the fall, early, right before winter. When the new tax bills are coming out, one of them in January, it's very likely that your name will not be on that tax bill. Even though you may have closed on this property in June or October or November, whenever these auctions had a closing date, it's very typical that your name will not be on that new tax bill yet. Once a year, all the tax rolls are certified and changed. Any new owners are added to that roll or changed in the roll. So that only occurs once a year. So if a tax bill is supposed to come out and you don't get it, you're going to have to go ask for it. And please make sure you do, so you don't become delinquent yourself. So until you start getting regular and routine tax bills on these properties, make sure that you call and follow up and ask for the tax bill. We're going to look at this next group. We talked about liens that are extinguished through the Article 11 process. One of the liens that is not extinguished is village water or sewer rent that may become a lien against these properties. So if you're buying, and I say village here, but there's also language talking about town water. If you're buying property that has town water service or town sewer service or village water or village sewer service at or nearby that property, if you're in what's called a water district, you're likely then in the sewer district. There may be outstanding water or sewer bills. You're going to be responsible for them. They are never extinguished by this process. So, make sure you find out about that. And don't assume just because you own vacant land, or don't assume just because you're buying property that's in a water or sewer district, but it doesn't have that hookup, that there may not be a bill. In some cases, there is a minimum bill that all property owners receive. So please make sure that you look into that if you see public water or sewer. Number 16, this appears generally somewhere in the terms of all the municipalities, that it says that these properties are being sold subject to Article 11 procedures of the New York State Real Property Tax Law. And you want to see that in the terms so that you understand that these properties have gone through a foreclosure action that wipes away all known liens from the deed for you, the new buyer. That's important. Make sure you understand that. Article 11 is a lien cleansing process so that the counties can take title and sell the property to you free and clear of liens as long as they were notified. And that's important. So you want to see that in the terms. Also, number 17, riparian rights. It's a fancy word for water rights. So let's say that you buy a piece of property that might have a stream running by, or a river going by, or it's fronts on a lake. You may have acquired certain water rights, and check the deed, see what it says. That's as far as I'm going to be able to go with you. If you need a fuller explanation, you may have to either do some Google search, or you're going to want to seek legal counsel. Number 20, these are real estate auctions. So no title is being conveyed to you relative to personal property. What is personal property? Or another word is chattel property. Clothing, televisions, furniture, vehicles, personal property. And I'll cover that in just a second. Boats, trailers, snowmobiles, snow blowers, lawn mowers. Any of the things that are not personal property. Personal property, any of those things that are personal property, you're not buying. They may be in your way. You may have to dispose of them once you take title, but you're buying real estate. Real estate is, as defined as real estate, is anything that is affixed to the land or the land itself. So that's what you're buying, and they're being sold to you as is. If you're buying property that has personal property on or about it, and we've seen them throughout the years, you might want to give that former owner an opportunity to come and get their stuff. And we're going to suggest, again, that you do that through the advice of legal counsel. Contact them, attempt to contact them, give them a period of time to come and get their things, or let them know that if not, you're going to have to dispose of them. In terms of vehicles like abandoned cars, or whether even they're not abandoned, but cars, motorcycles, boats, planes, jets, trains, anything that deals with DMV title, there's a way for you to contact DMV, find out about abandoned vehicles, either how to get rid of them or how to retitle abandoned vehicle, if that's how that works out. But we're going to suggest that you get some legal advice on how to do that. Down to number 22, the properties are possibly being offered in combination or high bidder choice. Again, we covered this previously in one of our webinars, but the counties sometimes tell us to sell multiple properties together in combination for one bid. So they may take, let's say, a house and an adjoining piece of property and put them together in a combo and say whoever the high bidder is gets both at one time, and you're going to get that for one bid. And that's how that's going to work. Other times they tell us to do choice. Choice is where we have typically contiguous property. It's also very similar usually, and all of those properties are offered at the same time, so that the highest bidder has a choice. The highest bidder earns the right to choose from among whatever is offered, and can take one property at their bid amount. They could take two at 2 times the bid amount, or as many as we've had. Sometimes we do 3, 4, 5 properties together as choice, and sometimes the high bidder says, yep, I'll take them all. I'll take all 5 times my bid. They bought everything and they're happy about it. So that's important for you to understand. And if we have that, we clearly let you know that either at the auction or through the bidding applet, and you'll be fully aware. Down in 23, all counties that we work with reserve the right to reject any bid, any reason whatsoever. We never get an explanation as to why your bid was rejected. But behind the scenes, we understand in talking to county officials, why would you reject somebody's bid? Typically what they've discovered between the day of the auction and their day of approval, when they look through the list of buyers, they find buyers that actually are delinquent taxpayers. That's not a good thing. No municipality will sell more property to somebody that owes them money in back taxes. So please make sure that you are aware of your situation in the county you're bidding in, and make sure that you also pay your taxes prior to being allowed to bid. That's an important thing. You may actually have money confiscated at the auction, applied to your back taxes, and you're not going to get the property. So it's important that you pay attention. Most of the counties allow a prior owner in number 24 to bid on their property to buy it back at the auction, assuming that their bid amount meets at least the back taxes that were owed and any and all penalties, auction fees, filing fees. Then they're allowed to buy their property back, bidding against you in the auction. I guess first of all, to let you know, we really don't see that quite a bit. We see maybe a former owner once every 3-4 years, maybe at the auction, really trying to bid and buy their property back. You know, most counties and municipalities allow buyback or redemption or repurchase periods leading up to the auction. And if the former owner had money available to them, they would just buy it back from the county and be done with it. We'd never have it at the auction. So it's a rare day that these individuals may actually appear at the auction. Word of caution to some of you who are trying to maybe circumvent the auction and go to the former owner and kind of do your own deal with them. And we've heard these stories from people trying to do that, and they learned the hard way. When the former owner does get the bid at the auction and buy the property back, all those liens that were wiped away in the process for you, the new buyer, all those liens are reinstated for the former owner. So there's really no way to go around. The safest way for you to get a good, clean, quick claim deed is to come to the auction and buy it at the auction. Additionally, number 25, all municipalities require that you state clearly through the terms that you are not representing the former owner and you have no intent to sell the property back to them in a specified period of time to defraud any county of any taxes. So keep in mind, many of the times the former tax amounts that are due and owing have nothing to do with what you're doing here at the auction or what you're paying and when you get the deed. So the counties definitely don't want you to transfer property to a former owner to somehow circumvent what they were owed. Here in Orange County, they're telling you for at least 24 months, they're going to monitor any property transactions that occur with these properties and make sure that there's no fraudulent activity in transferring these properties back to a former owner. Number 27, the property is going to be sold to you subject to the buyer paying a buyer's premium, and that's the commission that's going to be owed to the auction team through the broker, and we'll cover that in just a little bit. At the time that the premises are struck down, you're going to be required to make an immediate down payment. That immediate down payment is usually through cash, a bank check or money order payable directly to, in this case, Orange County Commissioner of Finance. And we could also accept credit or debit card, and that's either MasterCard, Visa, or Discover. There's a specific amount that's due. Here in Orange County, they're telling you 1,000 or 20% of what they call the contract price. The contract price is the bid amount plus the commission becomes the contract price. Then you're going to need either 1,000 or 20% of that amount. I'll show you an example in just a minute. And that has to be immediately upon bidding. So that's important. Make sure that you're good to go. And many of you are using some form of plastic down payment today. That's great, simple, works. But if you're using a credit card, please make sure that you, number one, contact the credit card before using it, telling them that you're buying real estate. That's not something they normally see come up in your account as you make transactions. It's usually for a significant dollar amount. That's another red flag, and they sometimes, block the transaction even though you have plenty of credit available. And then finally, you're agreeing not to do what we call a chargeback. In other words, a change your mind later when you go home and tell your partner or spouse, hey, guess what I bought at the auction? And they may not be happy about it. So, you may get up this idea that you're just going to cancel the purchase. That's not working. We have had people attempt to do that. It doesn't work. Your credit card ends up still making the down payment as needed, and you may be looking at this forfeiting monies at some point and possibly additional costs. So make sure that when you're ready to buy at the auction, you're actually ready to close and you are going to be the new owner of this property. If at some point down the road you're not satisfied with the property, sell it, donate it, do something else with it. But make sure that if you're the high bidder at the auction, you're fully prepared to finish the transaction. In 29, Orange County made it very simple. There are some statutory fees for New York State. And then on the local level, some clerk fees and recording fees. They're telling you if you buy different classifications of properties, here's the blanket dollar amounts that are due. Other counties break this down a little differently. There's always a paragraph or two in the terms and conditions that give you that information. Some additional terms. Let me just back up. I jumped ahead very quickly. There we go. All persons attending the auction have to sign the terms and conditions. That's how we put everybody on that level playing field. You're required to provide that suitable identification. And then it talks about, again, power of attorney and LLCs and all of these things. In the terms, it specifies what is required in order to participate and buy property from that municipality. 33, a quick claim deed is going to be filed in the clerk's office. So that's when the property becomes yours. And in the interim between bidding and closing, you are not allowed to assign or transfer your right to finish completing the bid or purchase to anyone else. The way you register is the way the deed is going to be recorded. You're the registrant, you're the buyer, you're going to own the property, and that's it. There's no in the middle flipping of property or putting it in somebody else's name. It just doesn't work like that. None of the municipalities allow that type of situation. So be fully understanding when you get to the auction or when you're registering how you're going to take title. We do have people sit down with us when we register and we say, so, are you both on the deed? And, it's a head scratcher, like, they didn't really think about that. At auction, you need to understand and know that ahead of time. So the purchaser, make sure you cannot take possession or enter into the property, even if you paid in full on the day of the auction, or even if you paid in full after the auction, until the deed is delivered. And until the deed is recorded in the county clerk's records, it is not your property. You're just trespassing. So please make sure you wait until the deed is recorded in your name, then it's your property. And number 39, here's where the county talks about if you owe them delinquent taxes, you kind of have to have that straightened out before you bid. Everyone signs and prints information on the terms and conditions. Additional reinforcement of the IRS. The IRS can be, if they're a lien holder on the property, they're a lien holder like all others, but they do have one extra power. If they're notified by the county, they're in line with everybody else, but the IRS retains this right to buy the property from you. Once you take title, they have 180 days from the day of the auction to buy the property from you for exactly what you paid for it, including any commission or fees or recording costs that you paid to buy the property. So if it's important to you to get rid of that IRS lien, we suggest that once you take title, that you contact the Rochester IRS office that governs the entire state of New York for tax foreclosure that we do, and ask them for a lien release. We've actually had people show us the lien release that cuts into that 180-day period. and then it allows them to go and do whatever they're going to do with that property sooner than later. Just be aware of that. We don't see a lot of IRS liens on properties. I mean, we're selling 1,000 to 1,500 properties every year, sometimes 2,000 properties every auction season. Maybe we see a dozen or so IRS liens throughout all of those properties. So they're not on every property, but if they're there, just be aware. Let's get into the down payment calculation and that sample contract of sale. We want you to be aware of what that looks like, and we'll zoom in a little bit closer. First, well, you want to decide how you're going to make your down payment at the auction. Are you going to use cash, which is also a bank check or a teller check, or are you going to use credit or debit card, Visa, MasterCard, Discover? Now, to make the down payment, the question is always, well, how much do I need? And that's always been of concern, and people try to figure out that before going to the auction. We have a wonderful tool for you. Thanks to the wizards in our auction office, to Yvette and Jessica and Jennifer, they've created a down payment calculator for tax auction properties. And this is a wonderful tool. We're the only company that has this tool, and it's really going to answer a lot of questions and eliminate a lot of head scratching. And we're going to have this embedded in our website at all property auctions that we're doing for municipalities. And it's going to be easy to get at when you're looking at a particular property. The tax auction calculator is going to be, down payment calculator is going to be right at hand. So what does this do for you? One, pick the municipality that you're looking at, and that's easy to do. It's a drop-down menu. Two, type in the bid amount that you expect to pay. So if somebody's in Orange County, they think they're looking at a property that they expect to bid $50,000. Hit the calculate button, and bingo, it tells you exactly what you need in either cash or that bank or teller check at the auction, or on the other side of the column, credit card. So to bid $50,000, you would need $11,000 in cash at the auction, or a bank or teller check payable directly to Orange County Commissioner of Finance. If you're using a credit card to bid $50,000, you need to have your credit card able to process with us $11,100. So it's a great tool. We have people already on our website using this and kind of testing it out, have great feedback on it. It's really something that I think going forward is going to help you decide what you need to do to be prepared for the auction. For lower priced properties, the calculator also identifies the de minimis bidding down payments amount. So for example, if you only bid $200 on a property, what are the down payment amounts? And you can see that it shows still $1,000. Why is that? The minimum amount at this auction is either 20% of the contract price or $1,000, whichever is greater. So in this case, bidding 200 means that the 1,000 is greater. You need to be prepared to have $1,000 available. However, bidding 200 means this property may end up being yours for, all the closing costs, everything in, maybe $480, $500. What really means is that you're going to probably pay for this in full at the auction, or pay for full in this on your credit card. So use the calculator, let it help you figure out what those down payment amounts are. Also at auction, we talk about the contract of sale and deposit receipt. The contract sale is a simple one-page document, and the receipt of down payment deposit. Let me zoom in and let you see what the bottom looks like. The bottom is where all the numbers are embedded for you. Here the example says if they bid $20,000, the buyer's premium is $2,200. To me, is that cash or credit card? That's going to be a cash down payment. It's a 10% buyer's premium. So 20,000 plus 2,000 is going to be 10%. Credit card, sorry, 11%, 2,200. So $2,200 down buyer's premium. There's a surcharge processing fee. There's an advertising recapture fee in Orange County. Most municipalities incur some type of an advertising fee paid by the buyer. This helps them pay for the marketing plan that exposes the property to market. There may be the filing fees with New York State, that RP 5217, the county clerk fee. But our computer will calculate all of this for you so that once we subtract your down payment at auction, there's a bottom line due at closing date. And that's what you're going to have ready. So you're going to go home, get your final payment ready. If you get another bank check payable to Commissioner of Finance, and you'll also notice that all the county auctions say time is of the essence. That means the clock is ticking. So May 28th, 2019, the close of business, that's the absolute last day to pay. If not, you're going to lose your down payment. You're not going to get to buy the property. So be ready to go. The couple of other forms that we mentioned, the New York State Transfer Tax Form, we call that a TP 584. The RP 5217, a transfer report. The 5217 actually puts in the statewide database that you're the new owner. On the left side, that's the one that does the transfer tax. And then we have automated that process, and they're all filled out and ready for filing, and we make it nice and simple. Once you are approved, right, the county discovers that you don't owe tax, your final payment is in, everything is good, ready to go. We've printed the deeds and sent them to the counties for filing. The quitclaim deed, meaning the simplest form of title transfer. Once the county records that title in your name in the county record, that's when it legally becomes yours. You'll get a copy in the mail directly from the county, and then it's your property. Here's what the deed looks like. Typically, one-page quitclaim deed. It's very simple. This one from Sullivan County, a little more descriptive than we've seen in others. Let me just zoom in and let you see what I'm talking about. On most of the quitclaim deeds, you're only going to see the underlined red line there. It says tax map number. And the counties will only identify, for the most part, that's what you're getting. Whatever comes with 40-1, 37-1, that's it. Sullivan County goes a little further. They're telling you you're getting a class code 210, meaning a single family home on a particular lot size located somewhere. But they're not always that descriptive. So don't be upset if you don't see that on the quitclaim deed. As long as you have the tax map number there, you know what you bought. So that's pretty simple. So now let's go and take a look at what and a sound of what a typical tax foreclosure auction looks like from home. I think I have to downsize my screen. I see my screen. Hey Jen, are you able to do the pop-up video for me? You're a sweetheart, thank you.
It's the next slide, so you have it right now, and you should be able to hit play at the bottom.
There you go. It's as easy as it can be. Let's see if you can hear the auction. If you could turn up your volume. Let's try it again. Let's bring it back and see if you can hear the auction. I hope you can. Jen, do you hear anything?
I can.
I only hear it way in the background. Yeah, I'm not able to make this any louder. I can play the video over again and bid call over it like John did.
I had to turn the volume up on my laptop. I'm not sure if that actually helped or not.
Okay, let's try it again, see what happens.
welcome her work.
Sorry about that. Hey, Jen, you want me to vid call over what I'm watching?
You certainly can.
All right, so let me just have you turn off that extra mic. I'll bring this back to the beginning. And let me see if I could simulate the auction. One of our exceptional auctioneers, John, vid called this for us. We recorded it, but somehow we're having technical difficulty letting you hear it. So let me try and do what I can from this side. So when you go to this portal and you're going to be approved to bid and ready to go, you'll see again the bidding platform. There'll be an introduction. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, on lot number one family residence in this town. It's an older style home, about 1,900 square feet or so. 3 bedrooms, bath and a half, and ready to go. What do you want to give on them here? I have $50,000 bid, thank you. 50 to bid would go 60,000. I got 50 to bid would go 60. 50 to bid and $60,000 on it would go 60,000. I got $50,000 bid and 60. 50 to bid and 60 would go 60,000. I got $50,100 bid now would go 50,100 would go 60,000. 60's bid now down would go 70,000. I got 60 to bid would go 70. 60 to bid and $70,000 on it would go 70 bid and now 80. 70 bid would get 80,000 would get 80,000. I got 80 to bid now 90. 80 to bid would get 90,000. I got 80 to bid would get 90. And you at home, you're the 80,000 now 90. 90,000 bid and 100. 90 to bid would get 100 would get 100,000. I got 100 bid now 10. 100 bid and 10 and 10 would go 110,000. I got 100 bid with 110. Hurry, hurry. Got 100 bid with 110. Can you do 110? 100 bid with 110. And there she goes. Buyer is number test bidder 3 for $100,000. Test bidder is 3, $100,000. My backup also on the internet, test bidder number 16. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how we typically would sell property at the auction and move right on to the next lot. And then we just go one after the other. These properties typically, I'll let you watch the screen as we continue moving along, but typically this property for online auction and in person, they take about 2 minutes per property to sell. Some move a little quicker, others maybe about 3 minutes or so, but that's what you're going to see at home. I just wanted you, and our team wanted you to get an idea what the bidding platform looks like, give you an idea what the auctioneer chant sounds like, and then also give you an opportunity to see what that looks like ahead of time. So let me shut that down, move on to the next slide if I can. Make sure that when you're doing your homework, you follow some of the steps that we've given you, that you follow any additional recommendations by either your attorney or tax professional. If they tell you to do something, please take those steps and go ahead and do so. Following today's auction, we have an auction buyer's checklist that we're going to send you by email. And that's a great tool for you to just kind of get yourself organized, to follow through as you begin doing your due diligence, looking into these properties. There's also a brief survey that's going to be coming to you. Again, 4 or 5 questions. Please let us know how we did. Was it informative? If there are things that we need to approve or cover, please let us know. I want to thank you from our entire auction team, our great auction office staff that does work with us, and also the road crew that goes out with us and the rest that attend the auctions. And I'm going to turn it over to Jen, see if she has any questions that we should talk about tonight.
Frank, I do have a few questions that came in that I did not answer in the Q&A section. The
Just
first
a little
one,
louder.
is that
So let me
better?
go I'll look in the Q&A.
There's open questions in the Q&A that I have not answered yet.
Okay. So let me take one here. What happens if the former owner lost the property to back taxes property sold at auction, lost by the new owner, also to back taxes. Well, we hope that doesn't happen. And the former owner shows up at the auction to buy it. Wow, that's interesting. I'm going to be honest with you. That's a question probably for a legal opinion. If it was sold at auction and there's a new buyer, the implication through Article 11 is that you owned it for at least 2 years. The Article 11 foreclosure process is 2 years on all property, 2-year delinquency, 3 years on agricultural. So at least you owned it 2 to 3 years. Now, if that's in foreclosure and we're going to sell it again at auction and the former owner comes to buy it, not really sure that there would be a problem with them. But again, that's probably something that I really would like to have the county opine. So that's about as far as I could go. Do you disclose as a selling agent any information regarding the DEC or EPA issues or things like that? Certainly if they're known, Melinda, if we know that there are DEC or EPA issues because the seller has given us that information, then we will certainly disclose that to you. Yeah, no doubt about it. We just want to be very clear with you. Representing the seller as their agent, we're not doing any homework whatsoever. We're primarily in the business of providing you with links of information to the publicly available information on the county level. But anything else beyond that, usually DEC or EPA, that's something that you would discover as part of your due diligence. But again, let's be clear. If we know anything about that, if we know anything about lead paint or anything, we will let you know. So how do you pay cash if you're bidding on the internet? That's a great question. We haven't really had that instance yet because we haven't done completely online only auctions for municipalities just yet. So we're going to have to actually work those details out with the municipalities. And we have a couple of ideas on it, but I don't want to get ahead of what is actually going to happen. So please wait till we get closer to the auctions and we get to figure out that methodology. And we'll share that with you, obviously. Is a house trailer personal property? Eric wants to know, is a house trailer personal property? So that's interesting. House trailers, meaning mobile homes or what we call manufactured homes now, if they are permanently tethered to the ground through a tethering system, a foundation system, a pier and connection system, if they are now real estate, the assessor would determine that, and we would be selling you real estate, which would include that manufactured home. If the property is not permanently affixed to the ground, if it still has its undercarriage, and in some cases the wheels, and it's just on jack stands or blocks, that may still be considered personal property, and it's titled through the DMV, and it actually has a DMV title. So we may not be selling you property that includes that. The gray area is really going to be determined how the assessor has decided that property is going to be attached to the property. So you may want to make sure you're checking with the town or the village to make sure that that manufactured home, that trailer, if you will, is included with the land. On this auction site, are you able to put in your max bid and then let the system just bid for you? These auctions are real estate auctions. So if you're going to put in a max bid through any left bid opportunity, we're going to execute it in full from the get-go. Real estate is different than personal property. You know, I point to our personal property side of the auctions where you could put in a max bid and the computer system bids for you. Some of you are more familiar maybe with eBay where you do that type of thing. In real estate, it doesn't work that way. When you make a bid or a left bid or an absentee bid, you're putting in the maximum amount. It must be executed in full. Real estate offers are always executed in full. So that's how it's going to work. Again, we'll have more information on this as we get closer to the actual auctions that we're going to be doing this year. Right now we have one fully online auction scheduled on our calendar. I believe it's in October, late October. We have other right now live and internet auction combination like we usually do on the calendar. They're being scheduled tentatively for those dates that you may see on our auction calendar. Right now, depending on how the pandemic progresses, it's going to determine whether or not the municipalities are going to allow us to actually have them in person or not, or what that's going to look like. So stay tuned for more information. But right now, the online auctions, we're preparing for fully online registration, fully online payment, and fully online closing systems. And we have that all figured out and we're ready to go. Jen, do you have any other questions for us?
One more just popped in.
Can you type in a bid as we go? Yes, you can certainly type in. There's a way for you to alter the bid increment. And some people use that successfully in order to, quote, jump the bid. You know, we're going from 1,000 to 2,000 and they go from 1 to 3,000 or more. And there are good strategies for and reasons for doing that. Strength wins at the auction. Dollar bids win. And there are ways to sometimes preclude the other people from continuing to bid if you're a pretty strong bidder. So yes, we have an opportunity to do that, and we're going to be able to do that with you. Beth, asking about prior webinars, are you going to be able to see them? I believe in a follow-up email from us, you're going to get an email that allows you some access to that prior material. And we had some great giveaways, and you know, once you participate with us, you're going to be able to take advantage of that.
You can also request access to the previous webinars by sending an email to info, I-N-F-O, at aarauctions.com.
Info at aarauctions.com, and just request access and we'll let you go and take a look at that information. You're welcome, Joanne. Thank you very much. Receiving all kinds of great comments. Please follow up with our brief survey when we send you that email after the auction, either tonight or tomorrow. I want to say thank you on behalf of our team for being here with us tonight. If you have any last minute questions, please throw them out to us. But I do want to thank everybody on our team who worked on this and got this these programs ready for you. Those of you that did participate with us, we're very happy that you were here. Hopefully these were informative. We want you to be educated buyers at the auction, feel comfortable with the tax foreclosure auctions, and especially with our team. The more comfortable you are, the more comfortable you are to bid at these auctions. We know you don't do this every day, we do. So we're trying to get you to be as educated as possible. And we certainly look forward to see you either online or look forward to see you again one day soon in person. Everyone, stay healthy and happy, and see you at the auction. Thank you.